Hello.
Hi. Can we get her back up?
Oh,
Big.
I see you.
I think, can you make yourself big?
Yes, now that we're done with that, I can stop sharing. Let's see.
Yeah.
How's that?
Great, thanks.
Good.
We just had a piece of pumpkin pie, so we're very happy.
Well, that's very unkind to tell me that.
Sorry.
I'll counsel her later.
Well, I wanted to explain the big smile on my face.
Come on, it wasn't because you just watched 2 amazing sessions?
That too.
Yes.
And I didn't click on Netflix.
You did not.
So how were the sessions? Any takeaway thoughts from the sessions?
Well, the one that we just finished talking that you just gave about singleness,
Yes.
I was thinking about parenting children who are single and how sometimes, we're waiting to see who they're going to pick and things like that. So would you have any advice for parents being patient and maybe ministering to their children and to themselves? I mean, what you gave was really, really good too. Want to add anything to it specifically for parents?
I'm in that season right now, so I totally understand. I have 2 adult children. One is married, one is not. And when I read Sam Allberry's book on the 7 Myths of Singleness, and I may have shared this in the session, I can't remember, but I was really challenged that I too kind of think I'll feel better once I know she has someone that's going to take care of her.
Right, yeah.
And then to realize that's me not trusting God. So before I can help my child learn that she doesn't need to fret, she needs to trust the Lord, I need to believe that too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been helping me even in my prayers, that I know that what God wants most for my daughter is that she would look like Jesus, love Jesus, and be growing, never perfect in our contentment until we're with him, but growing and understanding her joy comes from him. So if a spouse would hinder that, then I don't want that.
Okay, yeah.
But my cultural brain says a spouse would help with that, which really that just means I want to trust in something in addition to God.
Right. And to put that in what Amy was talking about, I wrote down that it's easier to this small desire, the love you understand versus the love that surpasses understanding. And so if I can combine you two together for a minute, it's easier for us to love our children with this love that we understand, which is a lot of cultural stuff thrown in it.
True.
Yes.
And to be able to love them with this unsurpassing love that God has. It's not always easy for moms who look at so many detailed things that our children are doing too, and say, I could fix this, and I hope that we can, do whatever. And so, if I can mix the two of you together,
I totally agree. My daughter, I have a genetic condition that I lovingly gave to my daughter, so she has a lot of chronic pain.
Oh, very sorry.
So my brain says, I want to know there's someone who's going to take care of her, as if God can't.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to know that, and that'll comfort me. Well, I'm the one who needs to repent of that. There's nothing wrong with desiring to be married, but for me to think, then I can relax.
Right.
Because there'll be someone instead of there already is someone, and he loves her better than anyone else ever will. And I can completely trust that if it's best for her soul to also be married, she's going to be.
Right.
But if it's not best for her soul, I don't want it. But it's hard for a spouse, but I think even more for a parent to watch their child go through anything hard. We want to make the hard go away.
Yeah.
So if our child desires to be married, I don't want them to go through the hard of learning to trust God.
Right.
I just want them to get married. If my child desires a certain career, I don't want them to get rejected. I want them to get it. When the reality is, the answer to my prayer of help my daughter love and look like Jesus might be, all the things I'm trying to take out of her life.
Right. And also when you think about what we are doing, like you mentioned, your daughter has pain, chronic pain. If you're helping her with that, we think I may die, and then I need someone to step in my place. And that can be hard too if they're single.
Yep. And then to know God doesn't make mistakes. I can trust my child who it's I think it's a deeper level of trust to trust God with someone I love than to trust him with me.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
So I just think that's the next step of growth is going, okay, I know I have pain and I know that you're a good God, but my daughter, okay. And now, and it's good because it's revealing areas where I need to grow. And I'm not going to be able to exhibit that trust to my daughter if I'm not honestly working on growing in it myself. But I hear you because it's where I'm living and she's growing, like she's doing well. But I don't want it to be hard. Well, how do I grow? I don't grow in the easy. I grow in the hard, and I understand that. But it's a lot harder to accept that for my children, who my job has been to take care of since they were born.
Yeah.
So my job has been, don't let them run in the street and teach them how to do this. And that's good and right, but it can never be the goal that I'm going to keep them from pain, when many times the hard things are where God's answering the prayer of my soul for their soul.
So stepping out of some of their pain and not taking things away, including maybe not getting too involved with marriage. Like, hey, I know somebody, like you're saying.
Yeah. But instead saying, I know it's hard. What's the Lord teaching you? How do I help you do this well? Not how do I change your circumstances?
That's such a good thing. How do I help you do this well? That's such a good thing to ask them, because it also places it back upon them for them to say, yeah, there are things that I need help with, and I want to tell you, and you're interested to hear, instead of mom just always being, okay, here's what we need to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember early on, my daughter's had pain since she was 9. We didn't know what it was until she was, I don't even know, at 17 or 18. But what we knew is there's things we could try to do. There's not really anything you can do about it, but there's things you can try to do to minimize the symptoms. Right. It doesn't usually help a lot, but there's some things. And I still remember, so I'm all about, she needs to do everything that she could possibly do, because I don't want her to be in pain.
Right.
I don't even do all the things I could do to be out of pain, because quite frankly, I don't want to take the time. Whatever. But when it came to her, I'm like, are you doing the exercises? Are you doing the physical therapy? Are you wearing the braces? Are you resting it the way you're supposed to? And I remember her one time saying to me, I don't even remember if it was a brace or whatever it was, but she was like, I know I'm supposed to do that. It kind of does help, but I just haven't bothered. And she's funny. We talked about it afterwards. I even talked about it on one of my podcasts, but she doesn't even remember this. But I yelled at her because I was so angry that she wasn't doing everything that she could do to get out of pain. And she looked at me like, what in the world? And I'm like, I can't believe we do this. And why aren't you doing it? And I just started sobbing. And I told her, I said, I know that's me. I so hate seeing you be in pain. If I could take it, I would. But I can't. And so I have to learn how to grow and trust God with it. Because otherwise, I'm putting all this on her. Are you doing everything? Are you doing everything? Are you doing everything? Because I don't want to see you hurt. And she was very gracious. She doesn't even remember it. But I still remember it, because I thought, I'm yelling at my daughter because she's in pain. She's not doing everything she could do, because I don't want to see her.
And I want to share with you that I have a daughter who's in chronic pain too. Always. I understand.
Wow.
Yeah. So she tries many different things, and some things help and some things don't.
Right.
And it's progressively getting worse, her condition. So it's hard,
It
that's
is.
the mom who wants to fix it all.
Yep. Instead of saying, which, we're really working at, okay, this is the God who was willing to be murdered for you believes this is best for you. Mm-hmm. So it would be wrong for me to think it's not best.
Yeah.
So now my job is, you don't have to walk it alone. How do I help you do it well?
Right. Right.
That's good.
And that we do a podcast on unjust suffering. That's all about that. And I end it with the story about carrots. But watching another friend who was suffering horribly because of sins of her husband.
Oh,
And I came home and said to my husband, I know what I need to tell her. I know she needs to trust God. I mean, I know all the things, but I'm getting angry because she's suffering because of what he is doing. And Brent looked at me and he said, and that's when she can look the most like Jesus. Because all of his suffering was unjust.
right. Yeah.
So this is her platform. So now my job is not, how do I get her husband to stop doing that? How do I get her out of this painful situation? How do I make the pain go away? It becomes, how do I help you do it well? Okay. And so I told her what my husband said, and we talked about it and cried. And I said, here's my commitment. You're not going to do this alone. I'll walk it with you. If this is what God's asked of you, I'm wrong to believe that it's the bad path. But I can tell you, you don't have to walk it alone. And then I had to learn how to apply that to my daughter.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because we want to fix it, take it away. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Those were my questions. You got any thoughts?
I don't have any questions. I was thinking we're both married, as a married person, thinking I actually made a list of all the single people in my life, my own kids and single senior citizens and single high schoolers and, that are in my life. There's a lot. And how can I minister better to them? What can I do? And there was, the thoughts were really good. Several of the things, it was like, oh yeah, that's true. I do tend to think that way, even though I know, like, I would never say it's better to be married. You don't think that you think that.
Right.
But when you're happily married, when you're like hinting at somebody when they're over for dinner, hey, you seeing anybody? You know, that stuff. I mean, we wouldn't do it to the senior citizens in our church, but we'll do it to the younger ones,
Yep.
And my own son, I have 3 older kids, 2 daughters that married fairly young, and then my son, who's past those ages where they got married. And we were missionaries when we visited churches, and we would put the picture of, this is Kelly with her husband and her 2 daughters. They live in such and such. This is Katie and her husband and their daughter. They do this. And this is Josh. He's still single. And he said, why do you say that? He said, you make it sound like there's something wrong with me. I'm very happy. I'm working. I'm doing ministry. Everything's great. Why are you saying he's not married?
Yeah.
Like it's a condition. And I'm like, sorry, I didn't think about it. So that is something I'm trying to relate to my son. He's at our house a lot, and I love him. I'm so glad that God's working in his life, and it's hard for me not, as a mother, not to say, are you seeing anybody? Anybody catch your eye? Are you thinking that way? Because to me, that will be the happy thing. But maybe God has for him to be single, and then he seems to be perfectly content with that right now. Praise God, but I need to be.
Right. And to think, if what I want is for my kids to be walking with God and productive, and they are, then what's my problem?
Exactly.
But we equate these things because that's what we're bombarded with too.
Right.
But it made me realize just how horizontally I think. Like, I don't want them to miss out. And it makes me think about that quote where if you're swimming in the ocean of God's love, you don't miss the thimbleful.
Right.
And do I understand that when we are with the Lord forever, no one who's single is going to go, how come I missed out?
Exactly.
It's like when the shadow is gone and we get the real thing, nobody's going to look back and go, why didn't I get the shadow? They didn't miss anything, because all we get now is a shadow of something that's coming. So if they miss the shadow, who cares? but it just makes me aware that I don't think theologically. I'd have probably been asking Paul when he's going to do something that mattered by getting a wife. You know, like, are you kidding me? And Jesus never married. And Paul, we don't know if he was widowed or whatever, but he was not married at the time of the scriptures. And so it's like, but we forget that. And then I think it puts pressure on our kids or any single around us when it's like, well, they can't be a deacon at the church unless they have a wife. Like, what, you become mature when you say I do? I don't, but we have these things in our head.
Right.
I was just thinking that the disciples that were married, I was just wondering where their wives were. I mean, you know, they were out walking with Jesus for 3 years. Did their wives follow them? I don't know. I mean, if they were single, they would have been, you know, thinking about their wives. Obviously, Peter was married because his wife, mother, got sick, but yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why Paul says it's easier for them to focus on the things of the Lord. And then we say, yes, and the reward for doing that should be a spouse. It's like, no.
Yeah.
The reward is the Lord. And if it's best for you to have a spouse, you will.
Right.
But that's a change in my own thinking.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time and for your
Expertise and
lecture. I don't know what you call it. Yeah. Sharing, teaching.
And now you've got one more, right? Oh, no, you got two more.
Yeah.
Modesty and doubt.
Okay.
So that'll be good. And then I will be back with you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if it's helpful to you, that's great. I'll be here. But I don't want you to feel like you have to get on here. If this is helpful, I love interaction. I'm going to be here. But if the timing doesn't work out for you, you do whatever's going to make this most beneficial for you. We're just here to serve.
I appreciate talking to you.
Yeah.
I really
nice.
do.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to be here. So I will see you guys at 8 in the morning.
All right.
All right. Good night.
Thanks.
Going to go. Hang on.